All right. Hello, everyone. I decided I wanted to start to do some short videos just to recap a little bit at the end of the week. And I have the privilege of seeing a lot of patients every week, and it seems like I get these repetitive themes each week. And I thought it might be cool to talk about those because, one, I repeat myself over and over and over again, which is great. But I thought it might be a good way to get some education out there. So it's July 26th, right? It's been a very hot, humid summer in New York City. It's been a fun summer. Definitely this week, walked into work multiple times, soaking wet after jumping out of the shower. So I think the weather has been a challenge for me and my patients. And many times this week, again, I have a busy practice, thankfully. And many times this week, I had patients come in and really... they're suffering from headaches and migraines, and they've really done a lot of work to try to eliminate triggers and live a very healthy lifestyle. And, really put in effort, which I appreciate. I think that that's great, and I think it's great to be proactive about your health. But so many times this week, I had to explain over and over again that migraine becomes a process. It's a pain process in the brain that repeats itself over and over and over again. And the more the headaches happen and occur, the more the brain seems to want to have the headache. So even though people are doing all this work, and I think it's great, they're getting good sleep again, they're hydrating, they're avoiding triggers. Listen, they're doing everything that they need to be doing. They're really doing this thing. So again, that's drinking enough water, that's getting enough sleep every night, that's not drinking alcohol, that's avoiding foods with tannins and sulfites. It's getting exercise many days of the week. It's reducing stress. It's meditating. It's doing all the things you read and hear about, but yet they're still getting these headaches. They're just persisting. And this process, we have this saying that migraines beget migraines. And why is that? We don't really understand. I think it's one of the medical mysteries, but I think it's one of the ways that the brain works, okay? It likes to repeat behavior, and as it repeats patterns of behavior, the neural connections get stronger. So there's many theories from the migraine perspective, and it's been supported, and there's a lot of theory in pain medicine actually that there are markers and this thing called a neuromatrix that is actually established in the brain where it's like a signature. It's like a pattern that starts to get marked in the brain and spinal cord and then becomes the prevalent circuit that the brain follows. So read again from my colleague Luciano, who's a great physical therapist. We both work a lot together with pain patients. So I reread this article about the neuromatrix this week, and it was written in 2001 and by Ronald Melzack. It's a very interesting article, but I think it applies to this as well, to migraine. And basically, it's a complex picture of pain. So usually we understand pain as something that's part of us for survival. So why when we put our hand on the hot stove, why do we pull it away quickly? Because if we leave our hand on the hot stove, we're going to get a lot more damage when we burn our hand if we don't pull it away quickly. So the pain system was designed in a lot of ways, we think, to help us avoid noxious stimuli, or things that are going to actually hurt us. So what about migraines? So what is the benefit of having a migraine? What is the Darwinian survival benefit of having a migraine? The answer is we don't know, and I don't know if there's a Darwinian survival benefit of a migraine. I worked in my residency with Dr. Kudrow in LA, and he had a nice theory that said, well, it's a very stressful world, and our attention is constantly on screens and this, and what does a migraine do? It actually, you get this terrible headache, you have to lie down in a dark, quiet place, and maybe it's telling us that our body has to rest, which is a really cool theory, but what kind of benefit does that give you when someone's getting a migraine 4 days a week, or every single day, or every other day of their life? At some point, there's no survival benefit, it's actually hinders you. So again, I like to talk about this with patients and remind them that they're not doing something wrong. It's just what their brain is doing, and it does this over time. So part of this neuromatrix, in the neuromatrix article, an example that I always like to bring up in chronic pain is phantom limb pain. So this is basically when let's say a war veteran has an amputation, or someone has to get an amputation in their leg, and the leg was damaged or burned or infected or whatever the problem was. They get an amputation, and they had a lot of pain before the amputation, and after the amputation, they continue to have horrible pain in the leg that's not there, that's not on their body anymore. So what's happening here? So obviously the pain is not located in, let's say, their lower leg, okay? It's located, the pain and the sort of signature and the signal is in the brain and the spinal cord, which it's hard to kind of wrap your head around. But when you do, you're like, oh, it's actually not in this part of my body. It's in my brain. I think that is what is happening in migraine. Obviously, we can't cut your head off when you have a migraine. But when you start to think about it that way as a pain process in the brain, I think it validates, one, your pain, and when you're doing all these things to try to make the pain go away in a natural way and not blame yourself, I think you need to know this. It's very important. And then to take it a step further, we've learned a lot in the pain world and in the migraine world, and they're seeming to coalesce now, a lot of these studies, and what we're doing is using medication to try to decrease that signaling in the brain and make the circuit and the signature in the brain less prominent. So we use a lot of medicines, and people don't often want to be on medication, but these medicines are fantastic in that they help to do this centrally in the brain and the spinal cord. So it's something I explained probably 10 times this week, and the more I explain it, the better I think I understand it, and the more my patients understand it, I think they feel better about knowing this. They feel better knowing it's not, quote, their fault, and they're open to getting the treatment that they need to move forward. So I just wanted to share that for this week, and leave me some comments if you have questions about this or if it's interesting. Thank you.